Back to my channel. I'm Sadia Khan, and as always, I am bringing you brand new content every single week on some of the most important issues I get asked about on a daily basis by my clients, by my followers, by my subscribers, questions that you're dying to know. And I'm here to provide you with all the details so that you can form a healthier, more long-lasting connection in your life. Thank you so much for subscribing so far, and I hope this has been really beneficial to you so far. Now, today, what we're going to be looking at is I'm going to talk you through toxic relationships. Now, what I want to do in this session is I want to bring you the reasons why you form toxic relationships, signs that you're in a toxic relationship, and how to break this toxic attachment or how to create a more healthy version of this relationship. So I'm not really one for just break up, break up, break up. If you are in a situation where you can't escape, perhaps because of financial reasons, because of children, because of shared lives, mortgages, whatever it is, there's no point saying just start again. Perhaps we need to look at ways on how to kind of create a healthier version of what seems to be quite a broken relationship. And so let's get started. Now, when it comes to toxic relationships, there is simply one and only one cause of a toxic attachment. The only thing that causes a toxic relationship, it's not, oh, this person is cheating, oh, this person is abusive, oh, this person is a narcissist. That's not what makes a toxic relationship. There's only one ingredient to toxic relationships, and that is conflicting intimacy needs. Now, what I mean by this is a toxic attachment is formed when one person has the deep, long-lasting need for connection, intimacy, and togetherness, whereas the other person has the need for independence, autonomy, and space. When you have two people with completely opposite intimacy needs, there is going to be embedded conflict. They're always going to fight. They're always going to fight because their core needs in a relationship and in an attachment are polar opposites. One person is needy and wants connection and wants reassurance and wants to build a life together, and they want labels and they want to know where this is going. And the other person likes to take it slow, wants space, wants distance, wants no pressure. When you have these two individuals coming together that have formed an attachment because they may have shared interests or they may have sexual chemistry or whatever it is, because their core needs for intimacy are polar opposite, despite their attachment to each other, they're always going to be in conflict. And every single argument the two of these people have can be traced back down to conflicting intimacy needs. So what I'm going to do is give you the signs that you and your partner have conflicting intimacy needs, and that's why you're toxic. Now, the first sign that you have opposite intimacy needs is the relationship feels like a roller coaster. What happens to the person who is more clingy, more on the dependent side, is as you get closer and you get more intimate with your partner, you finally start to relax. You finally start to feel calm. You finally start to, fall in love, and you can finally let your guards down. But as you get more attached, the clingy person starts to get a bit nervous that they're going to be abandoned. The nerves start to set in. For the clingy partner, the nerves set in. Now, for the person who's independent and autonomous, as they get closer to their partner, the panic of being suffocated starts to sink in. So what will happen is the clingy partner will want more of them, and the autonomous partner will want space. So after intimacy, after a really nice date, or after a really nice holiday, after spending lots of good time together, the autonomous person will pull away, and the clingy person will pull towards. And so they're going to start to battle. So as things are getting smooth and they're finally feeling nice, what will happen is the clingy person will want more of them. They'll get used to this new smooth, intimate relationship, and the distant person will pull away because they feel like they're losing their independence, and a fight will erupt. And it's usually after closeness. So that is the first sign that you're in a toxic relationship. After periods of intimacy, it's followed by distance, by explosive arguments, or just, space. There is some intimacy and then withdrawal. The second sign that you are in a toxic relationship is that small issues become huge, exasperated fights. Now, what I mean by this is a small thing like, can we go to the cinema, will turn into a 3-day fight. It will turn into a big issue. Or a small thing like, can you hold my hand when we're driving, will turn into an argument all the way home. What seems to be very small will become very huge. Now, the reason why these small things become huge is because their underlying desires are opposite. One person wants connection and the other one wants independence. So every time the one person is saying, can you come with me to my work event, the clingy or the more dependent partner is simply wanting connection. The autonomous person is thinking that's too much intimacy for me. So the small requests turn into huge, huge fights. You can't even remember what you're fighting about because it started so small. You'll say it to somebody and think, oh God, I just asked her to, let me know when she gets home, or I just asked him to come with me to my mum's house. Something so small will turn into something so big. That's how you know you've got opposite intimacy needs and you are in a toxic relationship. Another sign that you have opposite intimacy needs is you end up settling for less. What I mean by that is the person that craves closeness will maybe have an argument with their partner. They might say, look, I want to spend more time together. The person who craves distance will get so furious at this request because they feel like I'm already giving you so much of my time and energy and now you're asking for more. They'll get so furious and they'll respond with either a huge fight or by being distant or by ignoring them. So the person that was asking for closeness now just begs them to be normal again. They will just beg them to go back to the state of dissatisfaction they had before the argument. So maybe you might be upset that your partner is not spending enough time with you. So you mention it to your partner. Now, if your partner needs independence, they'll get so angry that you asked for this time, they'll stop talking to you for a couple of days. So you, as a person who wants more closeness, will now beg them just to talk to you. And when they finally talk to you, they give you drips and drabs of talking to you that you're just grateful that they're talking to you. You're not even thinking about your original issue. So how you know you're entering a toxic relationship is what your original concern was gets turned into such a huge fight that you're now settling for less, simply to get them to speak to you again. Simply to restore the normal level of dissatisfaction, you will settle for less. So if those things are happening in your relationship where it feels like a roller coaster, small thing turns into big arguments, you end up not addressing the real issue because you're just trying to get them to restore normality, then chances are you have complete opposite intimacy needs, and that's why your relationship is feeling more and more toxic.
The nanny showed up. You're a special family.
Why your relationship is feeling like. Stay focused on that behavior and explain how you want that behavior to change. If you start generalizing and you start becoming critical and you start becoming abusive emotionally or verbally, that behavior that you didn't like is now going to get exaggerated. This person is now going to enhance that behavior that you didn't like. So if you're saying, oh, you don't spend enough time with me, you don't reply to me on time, you're cold, they're now definitely not going to reply to you. Now, they're definitely not going to spend time with you. So you're not going to get the outcome if you start generalizing. Remember your outcome in mind and just focus solely on the issue at hand and try not to generalize and don't make it personal attacks. Make it about what you truly want out of them and try and get them to remember that your intimacy needs are not wrong and their intimacy needs are not wrong, but we have to find a compromise. The final thing I would recommend if you are in this kind of push and pull relationship is try to make more realistic expectations of your partner. Now, if you have a partner who is quite clingy and needs a lot of reassurance, the realistic expectation for you is to realize that they're never going to be this really hyper-independent, strong person who can live with or without you. That's just not going to happen. You didn't choose that kind of partner. You chose a partner that requires emotional intimacy. So if you've chosen that partner, you can't expect them to magically become independent. The only way you can create that is by offering them reassurance and connection. And so what that would look like is maybe perhaps saying a few words in the morning and the evening that reassure them. Either like, I love you, I miss you, how was your day? Just some form of connection. Or it might be some form of oxytocin. You might give cuddles first thing in the morning, last thing at night. If they know that's coming, they tend to become more independent. They need connection first, then they become more independent. Similarly, if you are a needy person and you have chosen somebody hyper independent, then it is pointless to expect them to prioritize you and the relationship all day, every day. They're not going to do that. They're not going to put your emotional needs first. It's just not how they're designed. So the best thing for you to do in that situation is manage your expectations. Remember that it doesn't come natural for them to put your needs first, to put the relationship first. They're going to put themselves first. So if you can manage that expectation and then perhaps start putting your needs first and what you want to do in life and try and make room for that and try and make that a priority, you may be able to better match each other's intimacy needs. But having unrealistic expectations, i.e. trying to get the independent person to be clingy or the clingy person to be Hi guys, welcome back to your singles course, and what we're looking at in this episode is once you've kind of met somebody, maybe once you've started dating somebody online or anything like that, how do we turn that connection into a relationship? Now that you've honed in on someone, let's imagine you've gone on a few dates, you've honed in on someone, how do we make it a healthy momentum? Now, the thing that you need to be aware of when you go from just a few dates and how to transform it into a relationship, the in-between, in the interim, you might experience something called limerence. And what limerence is a phase that is way too premature to be love, but way too intense to be casual. So you're in this stage of limerence that can actually fog your judgment, it can cloud your judgment, it can make you super unattractive, and it can sabotage the relationship. And I'm going to describe what limerence is and why you need to be aware of it before you move on to a relationship. So what limerence is a state of heightened infatuation and almost like a semi-obsession with a person that you've recently started dating. Now, key is recent. It usually fades over time as you start to feel more secure and safe with your partner. But when you've just met somebody, particularly if it's been a long time since you've met someone, you're going to enter this phase. And one of the key features is you have this intense infatuation. You start to really think about this person all the time. You want them. You have this intense need for reciprocation. You want them to always want you. You want them to be always thinking about you. You're constantly wondering, are they thinking about you? Are they not thinking about you? You want to almost get inside their head and hijack their thoughts and implant yourself in there. So you really want to know if they feel the same way, and you don't know if they do or don't. That's the whole point of limerence. You don't actually know where you two stand, but you do know you're really intensely interested. So you really have this intense desire for reciprocation. The other thing is you have very heightened emotional responses. So you have a very sensitive reaction to them not calling you. Super sensitive to them following another person online. Really sensitive if they haven't arranged a date. Your emotions are very much regulated by where you stand with this person. So if they're calling you and they're going to see you on the weekend, you're looking forward to the weekend. If you haven't heard from them, you're all anxious about the weekend. You have this really great heightened emotional response to everything they say and do to you. Another thing that you do in limerence stage is you idolize them and put them on a pedestal. You straight away are thinking, this person, I could marry them, and I wonder what my mum would think, but then our wedding would be on this day, and so many people would be coming, and how would our families come back? You literally start painting out your life together. You might have been on 2 dates. You might have been on 3 dates. And it's so excessive, and it's almost borderline creepy, but your thoughts and fantasies involve this person, and not just like sexual fantasies, it's genuine like relationship fantasies that you start having. You also start having very intrusive thoughts. What I mean by this is you kind of get pangs of like they could be doing this behind your back, or maybe they've done this, or maybe they're going on another date, and you get these really negative intrusive thoughts about this partner that causes you more severe anxiety, and then it causes you to be preoccupied with this person that you barely know. So you might start digging through their social media, or you might check when they're last online. You might start going deeper into the rabbit hole of who this person is and what they're up to. So it causes you to be intensely preoccupied. And the final thing is that you start to develop an intense fear of rejection. You don't want to text them first because you have an intense fear that they might not text you back. You don't want to call them because you have an intense fear that they don't pick up their call. It's no longer casual in the sense that, oh, you call someone, if they don't pick up, no worries. So I text them and they reply whenever. You text them and you have a state of panic that they might not reply, or they might not open it, or they've been online and haven't read your message. That intense fear of rejection, which is disproportionate to the level of connection that you've got with each other, this is a stage of limerence. Now, limerence can be a precursor for love, but it might just be a stage on its own, and it might just be a signal that this relationship might not work out. We don't know. It's too early to tell. But the main problem with limerence and how it can lead to failure in relationship is when you're in the limerence stage, you're more likely to ignore red flags. You're more likely to ignore the deal breakers that you would normally never forgive in somebody, but because you're in this state of limerence, you're ignoring it. And the reason why that's a problem is ignoring those red flags doesn't mean they don't exist. So when you do get into a relationship with this person, your foundation would have contained many deal breakers, and then the relationship's more likely to end. So the reason why, even when you enter this limerence stage, it's really important to take this person off their pedestal. It's really important to still have your eyes open to the red flags. Always have them open to the red flags, not because you're a detective and you want to be negative, but just so that you don't ignore them because you're so intensely preoccupied. And how you can figure out what the red flags are is you might ask little things like, you try and find out their attachment style. You try and find out what their family background is like. Are they from a stable home? Are they from a corrupted home? Have they worked on any of these issues? What do their previous relationships look like? If you notice that they've cheated on all previous partners, or if she's used all her previous partners for financial gains, or whatever it is, you look at their previous relationships and figure out. You look at how much they invest in you, how much time and energy and effort they put into you. And if they're not putting that much in, remove some of yours. Don't expect them to give you more. Just remove some of yours to restore the balance. Have a look at their social media habits. Are their social media habits conducive to a positive relationship, or is it going to lead to deal breakers in your future? Look at your lifestyles. Are your lifestyles compatible? Do you both do similar things on the weekends? Do you both value family the same amount? Do you both have the same spending habits? What are your lifestyles like? Are they still compatible, or are they not? Also look at how they resolve conflict. Look at how they communicate. Do they openly communicate? Do they resolve conflict, or do they stonewall, and are they quite guarded? Have a look at all of these things. Now, so the reason why this is important is it will help you remove your limerence stage and go back into actual assessment if this is good for me stage. Hey Google, take me to the nearest coffee shop.
The quickening pulse.
Today's episode, I'm going to give you 3 or 4 signs that a woman is in love with you, okay? And women, this is also your sign that you might be in love with a man, okay? Now, the signs, here's the thing which men misunderstand. There are women that shit test men, yeah? Shit test you and like kind of put you through your ringers and kind of test your boundaries. And there's other women who are just disrespecting you, and men can't always tell the difference between whether she's shit testing because she likes me so much, or she's just shit testing me because she doesn't like me. And there's a fine line. So I'm going to give you the signs of when a woman is actually in love with you. The first sign that a woman is truly in love with you, and I think this applies for men and women, but I think I'll just talk from women's perspective, is she becomes more and more selfless, almost to a fault. If she truly loves you, what will happen is she literally becomes more and more selfless. What that means is she will prioritize and put your needs first. So she might do things like she'll be mindful of your money. She's like, oh, don't spend too much there. Like, we shouldn't do that. We should save for a house. She'll be mindful of your money. Or she will be understanding of situations. Like, let's say you have a holiday booked, but something's come up. She'll be more understanding. So she becomes selfless because what actually ends up happening when she's truly in love with you is her number one value starts to become, and her number one love language starts to become quality time and physical affection. As long as she's got those 2 things, she tends to just be very patient, very loving, and very relaxed. When she's not in love with you, what will happen is she'll look for other things and she'll become more selfish. She'll say, where is this? Where is that? I want this. I want that. Now, some men think, oh, she wants to spend time with me. She's so selfish. No, no, no. Selfless women and women that are in love with you, those become their signs that they're in love with you. The main thing is they want quality time more than anything in the world, and they want physical affection. If you're finding that the more you're getting to know a person, the less she wants quality time and the less physical affection there is, she's not truly in love with you. She might just be comfortable in the relationship. She might just be using the relationship as to heal from another relationship. She might just be, a bit disinterested. But if those two things start to come up more and more, quality time and physical affection are the two things that she's really, really asking for more and more, then chances are she's falling in love with you. If she's still in the present side of things and she's still in the acts of service, she still wants acts of service, you to do things for her, and she still wants presence, she's on that side of things, then she's not quite in love with you yet. She might get there, but she's in the beginning stages of just seeing how much you're investing in her. She's not fully in love. As she gets more in love, she'll want quality time and physical affection more than any other form of love. Okay? Now, the next thing that a woman will do when she's in love with you is she becomes loyal to a fault. And what I mean by that is you don't have to tell her to stop texting other guys. You don't have to tell her to delete her Tinder. You don't have to tell her that you don't want her talking to an ex and stuff. Her brain just shifts towards you. It just comes naturally. And I think men do this as well. And, they just shift towards you. So what will happen is when a woman is falling in love with you, she might even think, oh, I wish I could just be with other men because I know he's still on Tinder. I wish I was, as bad as he is because he's still liking other girls' pictures. But women, when they are in love with you, they will become loyal. It's like a natural pull. They don't even want it. They're wanting to somewhat be liberal. They were like, I wish I could still message other guys because he keeps messaging other girls. Or I wish I could like pictures because he keeps doing it, but it's just not in me. When a woman falls in love with you, loyalty becomes so natural and so given. And it's something she even might try and resist, but it just pulls her because it's a signal of her falling in love. It's a symptom of her falling in love. When women are not in love with you, loyalty becomes difficult to achieve. Loyalty is something you have to teach her. Loyalty is something you always have to watch with her because she's not truly in love with you. So I do think if you have to keep pushing and you say, oh, she's an avoidant attachment. No, she's not. She just doesn't love you. Because women by design, when they're in love with someone, if anything, they're anxious. They're obsessed with the partner. They get a bit anxious. So if you have to teach her loyalty, and I'm not saying little things. Little things, obviously, she'll get wrong. She might get little things wrong, and maybe she'll be a bit friendly with her colleague at work that she just sees as a friend and she doesn't see in a bad way. But I'm talking about brazen acts of disloyalty. It means simply that she's not in love with you. It's that simple, because when a woman falls in love, she doesn't have to be told how to behave when it comes to disloyalty. She will naturally, look, women tell random guys every day that I have a boyfriend. They tell it to guys even when they don't have a boyfriend. So if she's hiding that information from other men while she's with you, that means she's just not in love with you. She's just not. You can try and beg her to start acting right, but you can't beg someone to be in love with you. So I would say loyalty is the next one that's really important.
Looks like a January problem to me. Everything else can wait. It's Christmas after all.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and what I want to talk to you today about is the idea of relationship anxiety or anxious attachment style. Now, you might find that every time you get into a relationship, you might be super, super confident when you're single, but the moment you get into a relationship, you become intensely insecure. You might find yourself constantly being jealous. You might be checking when your partner was last online, or checking who they're following on Instagram, or just checking where they are. You might find yourself constantly comparing yourself to their exes. You might find yourself, trying to predict where they're going to be, when they're going to call you next, so on and so forth. You might find yourself completely and utterly preoccupied with your partner, and you almost can't think outside of the realm of your relationship. The relationship now has a hold over you, where you're not even making plans with your friends. You're just trying to stay available in case this person calls you. You are, putting your life on hold just to revolve around your partner. And or you kind of are just almost a bit obsessed with your partner. And this obsession, though it sounds like it's coming from a place of love, the moment you have a fight, you erupt. And you become super, super negative, and you become super judgmental. You become really harsh with your partner as soon as you fight. And you don't understand where this is coming from. You seem to be fine a couple of weeks ago. You seem to be okay. But after a month, 2 months, you're now this person who's a bit of a wreck. And you can't stop thinking about your partner, and you can't stop watching them. And you're so hyper vigilant to any changes in their mood or behavior. Or if you're separated for a long period of time, you get like a lump in your throat. And even when you hear them say things like, oh, I'm just going to go on holiday in a couple of weeks, or I'm just going to go to a new workplace, instead of being excited for them and happy for them, you interpret it as, you're going to leave me, you're going to cheat on me, you're going to do something. And even if they just say, I'm going to go out with my friends, your brain will start to think, who's going to be there? What are they going to be talking to? Who's going to be? And you might start following that restaurant online and checking, the Instagram story of that restaurant. You just find yourself doing behaviors that you don't recognize in yourself. Now, if this is happening to you, then you have relationship anxiety, or what we know in psychology as the anxious attachment style. So what is this? Now, what an attachment style refers to is, this was first studied by psychologists, and what psychologists noticed is how parents respond to infants in their first few years of life, and how responsive they are to the child, and how attuned they are to their emotional needs, has a very predictable effect on their adult relationships. So if you have very loving, caring, considerate, kind parents, support your active lifestyle your way. Try 7C's 4-in-1 joint care for turmeric today.
Thanks for everything, Al!
What will happen is, as a baby, you learn that whenever you're upset, somebody will come and soothe you. So you go into adult relationships with an element of trust. You assume if you're upset, somebody will save you. Somebody will be there for you. And you can trust people. They come, they help you, they look after you, they treat you well. So you go into adult relationships with a sense of security. You trust people easily, and you find partners that treat you well, because if someone doesn't treat you well, it feels so unfamiliar that you detach. So you tend to have quite healthy outcomes. Now, if you have an anxious attachment style, what that means is when you're growing up, especially in the early years of infanthood, what would have happened is your parents were inconsistent. Either you had one loving parent and one distant parent, or what may have happened is you had a loving mother, but she'd be inconsistent. Very loving 1 minute and caring, but then the moment you do something she doesn't like, she would withdraw her love. She might give you the silent treatment, or she might punish you, or she might not. She might favor a sibling over you. Whatever it is, it led you to believe that at some point in time, whoever loves you is going to leave you. They're going to love you and leave you, love you and leave you. So what happens is, in adult relationships, outside of adult relationships, you tend to be quite put together and you're okay. But the moment you start falling in love, your brain starts to work out how and when this person is going to leave you. They're going to leave you at some stage. And then you almost try and predict and control the elements that may lead to them withdrawing from you. So you will enter a relationship and assume at some point they're going to cheat on you, or at some point they're going to hurt you. And what you'll do is, the moment you get together with them, you launch your investigation. You start to look for evidence that this person is not right for you. But in the process of looking for that evidence, you start to get preoccupied with them, and you form a bit of an obsession. So you're getting more attached. So you're digging for gold. You're digging for that, that evidence that this person's wrong for you. But in that process of digging, you become so invested in that person that you're now super attached to this person. And only they can soothe you. So you might get really, really anxious, and you might be stressed, and you might be like thinking, when am I going to hear from them? And only when you get a text from them, only when you get a phone call from them, does your anxiety drop, and you can finally breathe again. But when there's separation, the anxiety increases, only drops when you hear from them. So you live in this constant state of heightened anxiety with your partner, and you only feel calm when you're connected. You don't feel calm outside of that. And when when you're not connected and there's been separation for however long, your brain will start to go to the worst case scenario. If, for example, you haven't heard from them all day, or if they've been busy or whatever it is, your brain won't simply assume that they're just busy. Your brain will start to think they're doing this, they're doing that, and then you start your investigation. You start looking for things, you start asking about them, you start checking when they're online. You can't stop. And this happens, and as a result, in your desperate attempt to kind of keep this person or control this person, you almost self-sabotage, because by the time you do hear from them, you've got all this built-up anger and resentment and accusations, and this person is maybe just busy and just heard from you after a long day and might be looking forward to seeing you, but because you've got all this anger and resentment, they can't navigate you. They don't know where this is coming from. You almost punch them in the gut with all of these accusations or all this anger, or all this resentment, all this stress that they didn't know that they caused. So you end up always fighting. And in that process of trying to love them and trying to stay connected to them, you actually end up pushing them away. And this seems to be the common theme with anxious attachment styles. So if that sounds like you and sounds like your behavior, then chances are you have this anxiety, and chances are you're always going to find yourself in these eruptive relationships. Now, I'm going to give you a few tips on what you can do to resolve this anxiety that you have regarding relationships. The first one for anxious attachment style, the very first thing that you need to do is stop the protest behavior. Now, what protest behavior means is when you have relationship anxiety, you seem to feel very uncomfortable expressing your true needs and expressing what you want. So what you do is you play games where you try and do the exact opposite of what you truly want in order to get your needs met. And so what I mean by this is, what protest behavior basically means is, if I want to spend more time with my partner and I haven't seen them in a while, what I will do is post on Instagram that I'm really busy and I'm with my friends, so they think that I'm busy. But you're doing the opposite of what you want. What you truly want is to spend time with them. But what you're going to do now is pretend that you're busy. So you're not going to get what you truly want. Another thing that protest behavior might look like is, I want my partner to be really loyal and loving, and I want them to label it with us because I don't like being in a situation without labels. Instead of saying that, you might pretend you're going on dates with other guys. You might start following other girls on Instagram. You might show that you're so single. You might pretend that you're super, super independent just to kind of get a reaction, just to make them jealous. So instead of communicating your true needs, you do the exact opposite, hoping they'll be able to read between the lines and give you a reaction, and then you can feel safe again. But in the process of this protest behavior, you get exactly what you didn't want out of that relationship. You get the exact wrong response, and then you end up almost hurting yourself with this protest behavior. So you want to stop the protest behavior.
If your watch knows when it's fully charged, shouldn't it know when you are too?
No waffles? Okay, let's do it. Let's go.
Google Pixel Watch.
Philips Latte Go makes busy days easier for you. Enjoy cafe quality coffees from fresh beans at a single touch with velvetly smooth milk froth anytime. So no matter how busy you are, with Philips Latte Go, it's never a bad time for good coffee.
Stop doing the opposite of what you truly want. Stop posting and pretending you're out when you're truly home, hoping that they come home on time. Stop pretending that you love being single and you love your independence when really you want a committed relationship. Stop pretending and replace this protest behavior with effective communication. What I mean by this is, every time you get a trigger, which anxious attachments get triggered all the time, instead of getting angry and saying, oh God, I don't even know why I'm with you, I don't even want this relationship, replace it with, I'm feeling unsure, I'm feeling insecure. I prefer a relationship where we know where we stand and we have labels. And I don't really like the idea that, you're seeing other people and I'm seeing other people. It's not what I'm comfortable with. So let me know what you think. You replace what you are pretending to be with what your true needs are. Now, anxious people tend to be terrified of doing this. They think, if I do this, I'm going to put them off, they're going to run away from me, and I'm going to look really needy. So, if you express your needs and it puts them off and they run away, You've lost the person who was never compatible with your true needs anyway. You've speeded out the outcome. You want a committed relationship. This person doesn't. By telling them you want a committed relationship, you get the answer to your questions way faster. And you save yourself the rigmarole of all the protest behavior and all the game playing and all the pretending to be cool. And you get what you truly want out of life. And you gain self-esteem because you learn that I actually put my cards on the table. If you accept it, perfect, we've got a deal. If you don't accept it, bye, because it wasn't going to work anyway. If I stay with you knowing that we have different needs and wants, I'm only delaying the divorce. We're going to break up one day anyway. So I might as well save myself the time and energy, might as well save you the time and energy and let go. Anxious people have a real trouble letting go because they're super, super loyal to the people that they're invested in. But the reality is they tend to be invested in the comfort of having someone, and it's not the person themselves. When you start communicating effectively, you will realize whether this person is actually compatible with you or if you're just attaching to the person for the sake of attaching. And that's why it's really important for an anxious attachment style to never show protest behavior, kill that in you, and effectively communicate your needs. The third thing that you need to do as an anxious attachment style is try your absolute best, and this is very difficult for anxious attachment styles, but try your absolute best to maintain your independence. When an anxious attachment style enters a relationship, they tend to drop their own needs and drop what they normally do and their friends and family, everybody, and devote their life to their relationship and make the relationship their main source of self-esteem. The problem with that is their partner tends not to match that energy. Their partner tends to just get on with their life and not really revolve around the relationship. And they interpret their partner's independence as a lack of love. And they get angry at that person for being somewhat independent or autonomous. But really, if they maintain their connections with other people, they maintain their life goals, they maintain their priorities, and the relationship, they try their best to still do what they normally would do, rather than just saying, I'm going to cancel all plans in case they're free. What will happen is they'll have less built up resentment for their partner. They'll be less dependent on that phone call from their partner to say, are you free, are you busy? They will be making their own plans and getting on with their day. So as much as it's unnatural for you, try your best to maintain your independence and autonomy as much as you can. Okay, so the three main things I would say is, firstly, watch the protest behavior, make sure you effectively communicate, and try and maintain your autonomy at all times. If you can master those three things, what will happen is you'll naturally end up selecting a secure partner. You'll end up selecting somebody who's good for you, who soothes you, who matches you. But if you pretend to be cool, if you pretend that you don't want a relationship, if you do the opposite of what you truly want, you're going to also match with somebody who plays games, who's also independent, who also doesn't want labels. You're going to match the very person who is your worst nightmare. So by doing those three things, staying somewhat independent, communicating your needs, and avoiding protest behavior, you will conduct yourself in a more secure manner and you'll attract a more secure partner. Stay tuned, where I will be explaining the other types of insecure attachments and how you can develop a more secure attachment style. Thank you so much for tuning in.
At Thames Water, we're replacing hundreds of miles of old pipes with brand new ones to reduce leakage. All part of our biggest network upgrade.
I was having an affair with a married man.
The man was engaged, you were not married, you're just running around.
I was running around breaking up homes. Those women that are really super materialistic are not matching with men that are lovely or adorable. They're matching with men that are sugar daddies.
Women don't want to take responsibility, they won't want to be accountable, they don't want to go to therapy or change.
Yeah,
it seems to me there may be some truth that with the women that these people are meeting.
Yeah.
I don't think it's all women.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think that comes from, and why do you think that so many men feel like they're still alone? From Nomad Capitalist Live 2025, where we have every room in the house, Sadia Khan is with us. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a privilege.
You have been yourself in the news recently.
I have.
There's some salacious rumors swirling around.
Absolutely. And, I don't like to give anything too much light, but unfortunately, and I think I heard that you talk a little bit about this, the people who are craving what you have and are bitter that they don't have access to some of the luxuries or the kind of privileges that you might have got, they want to always take it down. So there's been some awful rumors, zero truth to any.
What are the rumors?
The main rumor is that I was having an affair with a married man, which has never, ever, ever happened, or even engaged or in a relationship, man.
Someone said you were engaged. The guy was married.
The man was engaged.
The man was engaged. You were not married. You're just running around.
I was running around breaking up homes, which is zero truth in it. And the people behind the rumor will never be able to produce any evidence for that because they know directly that that's not true. They actually know for a fact that that's not true. But that's kind of the running game. And that I'm this side chick who charges £8,000 an hour to help marriages, even though I'm a side chick. So I don't charge £8,000 an hour. I wish. I mean, it's a great rumor to have because it kind of up to stock, but it's definitely not the case. I actually charge £500 at most per hour, and there's zero truth to the married side chick man, and people behind that rumor can never prove that, and they're trying their best to, but they can never.
So are you refuting it point blank?
Point blank.
You've never been with an engaged or married man?
Never, ever engaged, married, relationship, and if the people behind that rumor claim that they've spoken to this man, I would love for that man or these people to bring that man.
There was talk, you talked to the woman and she said give it your best shot or something?
Something about that, but no, there's zero truth to a married or engaged or a relationship man to that. There's zero truth to that, and they know that. That's why they won't bring out any evidence for that. Well, they can, but there's no truth to that whatsoever. So those things that we just put it to bed. And
we're going to talk about relationships particularly in Dubai and in the emerging world. People are here to learn about how to leave the West, not just with their money and not just with their citizenship, but I think relationally as well.
Yeah.
But first, let's talk about this. I mean, what do you see as the future of dating and the rumor mill in a world of not only the internet, but now AI and people are creating content?
I think it's going to get more and more difficult to find long-lasting, healthy relationships, unfortunately, because the key route towards a lot of why people stay together is having a lack of alternatives. They pick somebody, they don't really have an alternative, and they make it work because that's how, the paradigm of having too much choices, it reduces their satisfaction. So the people with the least choices tend to have the most long-lasting relationships. As people become more successful and as they have more choices and as they've got places to live, people to meet, they've got businesses, their choices become so endless, and now we're injecting AI into that. It becomes difficult to remain completely satisfied with one person for the rest of your life when you are bombarded with so many alternatives. So I think, unfortunately, it's going to get a little bit trickier for certain cohorts.
I talked last night about the miracle of birth and me being born on one side of a lake and it's the United States, the other side is Canada, and to me these things are accidents. And I said it seems to me it's an accident that throughout history the best person in the world for you happened to be right down the block. In a world of increasing cultural understanding, it would seem like perhaps the best person for you is around the world, but to your point, how do you know when to stop? How do you know okay, now I found the one?
I would always just say when the person doesn't have any deal breakers. The thing is, there's always going to be better people than your partner. 100 times prettier, stronger, richer. There's going to be better people than your partner. We're going to always be able to find better. But if we use that lens, it's going to be endless. But if we use the lens of, do they have any deal breakers? And what I mean by deal breakers is any behavior that would make being married to them for a long period of time impossible. So you might have completely different values, or you might have a completely different background, or they might have a different religion, race, whatever it is that is a deal breaker for you. If that becomes a deal breaker and they have that, unfortunately, no amount of therapy or support is going to change that. So when you meet somebody who may not be the best thing ever, but they don't have any deal breakers, chances are you'll be able to have a long-lasting relationship with them.
What do you make of online culture now where a lot of men are saying women don't want to take responsibility, they won't want to be accountable, they don't want to go to therapy or change? Yeah, it seems to me there may be some truth that with the women that these people are meeting. Yeah. I don't think it's all women.
Quaker is an official sponsor of Team GB, and rightly so. After all, the rowing team...
Where do you think that comes from, and why do you think that so many men feel like they're just alone.
I understand why they feel that way, because what's happened is that therapy and self-help is taught from the lens of a woman. So a man and women will go into therapy and they'll teach you about love languages, they'll teach you about attachment styles, they will teach you all about, how to be more loving and caring, and if you want more intimacy from your wife, you have to do more chores and you have to take away. It's all from the lens of a woman. The problem is it's not from the lens of masculinity or femininity. It's not from the lens of like actual raw, what makes men and women attached to each other. So you'll go to therapy and they say you need to listen more, you need to be more emotionally available. You basically have to become her sister that she wants to sleep with, which is an impossibility.
Yeah.
So why men are feeling like women take no accountability is because everything they're being taught, whether it's media, whether it's the therapy that they go to, or even the medicine that they take, is feminized. So in order to be approved by women, you have to almost become a woman. And in the process of getting women's approval by becoming feminine, you lose your sex appeal. So they're then stuck. So they're the nicest guys who are the kindest, do all the chores, help their women around the house, help with the children, help with the nurturing, are stuck with no intimacy because they have no sex appeal left in them. So that's why they feel so hard done by, because they're thinking by the book I'm doing everything right, and yet I'm being overlooked or I'm being withdrawn from intimacy. If I'm married, I get no intimacy, and if I'm single, women are going for the bad guy. So I feel like women don't know.
Do women really go for the bad guy? It seems like a myth.
It is a bit of a myth.
The guy who's busting skulls and getting a bucket.
What would you say? What would you say? Do they go for more bad or nice?
They want the guy that doesn't tolerate their nonsense.
Yeah.
They don't want someone going out and punching people. I think we dramatize it, particularly in the West, don't you?
Yeah, I think we dramatize it. But what I would say is that if they have a choice between bad and too nice,
they want someone who's going to lead, and they'll overcorrect.
Yeah.
Here's where I do agree with a lot of the men, is to me, you're not supposed to keep score, and you shouldn't keep score. But it does seem like, you're not doing enough chores. If you're the guy who's perhaps providing or providing more financially, and you're doing a laundry list of things, particularly in the places that I live, it doesn't really even out that you should also add chores to that list. I mean, we should each be not necessarily keeping, you have 100 points and I have 100 points, but there should be some semblance of we're both contributing things in our own way, not did we split the chores?
Well, I think what the key difference in Western culture compared to an Eastern culture is that the women in the West still expect men to have a particular masculine role that might be providing and taking care of the home, but they resent feminine roles, which might be cooking or cleaning. They have a complete, that's not my job, but your job is this. And that's where it's different to the rest of the world, where the rest of the world see it as, of course your job is to provide, and of course I do the chores. Of course, there's no humiliation to that. It's not seen as degrading, and it's not seen as a bad thing, because doing household chores is actually a sign of self-respect. Like, you keep your house clean, you do things, you cook, you clean. It's a sign of femininity. It's actually what makes you a woman. Whereas in the West, that's seen as derogatory. So I think the reason why they don't like it, they keep scores, is because they see one as derogatory and the other one is that's just your job. They don't actually have particular jobs that they see women as being assigned to, and that's why they resent doing anything in terms of hard labor around the house.
And that's why men feel there's an asymmetry.
And there is an asymmetry, unfortunately. And there's lots of men that don't provide, and there's lots of women that split the bills and work really, really hard. So they have symmetry in that area. But the idea of, cooking, cleaning being a feminine role is severely resented in the West, whereas everywhere else in the world, they take pride in that being their role. They love the fact that you come to my house and it smells of cooking when my mum's there, or we clean the house, we keep our house clean for our men. We love that. And I say we because I'm from Pakistan, but we love the idea that you associate cooking and cleaning with us, because we're like, that's amazing. We like a woman that does that, whereas they see it as an insult. So I think they see what keeps a household balanced. They think their chores or their roles are insulting, whereas a man's roles is a given, and that's why there's an imbalance.
I thought Nicorette helps you enjoy freedom from smoking and vaping. Nicorette, quitting made real. At least 15 years.
They see it as a man that's richer, smarter, more intelligent. He gets with a girl. She's now hypergamous. But if we use the example of somebody like Jeff Bezos and with Lauren Sanchez, on paper she's hypergamous, but the reality is she's far smarter than he is. She was able to get him to get a divorce, get married to her. She's able to outsmart him in a second.
Are you supporting Lauren Sanchez?
I'm not. What I'm saying is, I wouldn't say I support Lauren Sanchez, but I would definitely say she's 100 times smarter than Jeff Bezos, 100 times. And the reason being is this is not her first time. She's been married to rich men, divorced rich men after rich man after rich man, and her ability to get really successful men to buy into the trap and leave what they're doing and fall for her and then invest in her, regardless of her.
Is that a good thing, though?
It shows you female hypergamy. It's a great example of how no matter how smart and intelligent you are, if you are submissive to women, she's
Do you think he's submissive to her?
Absolutely. What
so.
kind of man would ever get a divorce that cost him $30 billion to go be with a woman who is already married at the time with a really rich man who's done this several times unless he's submissive?
Do you think it'll last?
No, absolutely not.
Really?
Absolutely not. I don't think it will last. I think that, well, to be fair, who am I to say? Yeah, this is to each their own. But I would say is that Lauren Sanchez is the smartest woman when it comes to hypergamy. When it comes to this stuff, she's the smartest because she allows a man to think that he's the running the show. She allows a man to think he's the successful, he's the trophy. She, behind the scenes, runs everything. Loyalty is really driven by a woman's attraction towards you. Yeah, that's the key ingredient. So you can get a woman, everyone can get a woman, but her loyalty will depend on how attracted she is to you over and above other men. Now, what Dubai does is attract a bunch of women that can forego attraction very easily as long as he's giving her a lifestyle that she likes. The moment a woman is attaching more to what you provide than who you are and how she feels about you, the loyalty is decreased. And so that's what I noticed. There's a lot of lack of loyalty in the women in Dubai.
Why in Dubai in particular?
Because it's one of the countries where money really gets you far. And what I mean by that is I'm born and raised in London. And whether you're a millionaire or whether you live, I was a teacher before I went online, whether you're a millionaire or you're making £3,000 a month, you live the same lifestyle. It's raining every single day. It's not like you can get valet service everywhere you go. It's not like you can go get a yacht. You can't do
It's more egalitarian.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it's limited. You might be able to go to a few better restaurants, but then when the weather's bad, like, everybody's at home. In Dubai, literally, as the money increases, the enjoyment and lifestyle per capita literally just increases in the exact same amount. So you see that a lot, and also there's a lot of competition amongst the women because there's so much wealth amongst them. So every woman kind of starts to feel like, oh, she's got a Bentley, she's got a Range Rover, where's mine? So there's that competition between the women as well. That's very heavy in Dubai that I don't see anywhere else. The competition is very material in Dubai, and I don't mean this to put anybody off because there's so many successful, intelligent women in Dubai who have none of those values. But there is a subsect that does have those values, and that's why, particularly the beautiful women, they do have those values. So then that's why it's got a reputation of attracting those types of women.
Is that just a matter of mirroring each other?
Yeah, that is what it is. There is a
Yeah, see if any women will like you.
Yeah,
good luck.
What I find so hilarious is that I'll have, in the West, they're not wrong in saying that, because I'll sometimes have clients that come to me and they say, me and my wife haven't had sex in 8 years. And I was like, have you cheated? And he's like, no. And I was thinking, in other parts of the world, they will literally say, if you don't sleep with your husband for 6 months, he's going to go somewhere. We're like, what are you talking about? If you don't sleep with him for a couple of months, he's going to go somewhere. Because in our head, we're like, men are men. They're not going to be loyal because they're just for the sake of being loyal.
Men, right?
Men are men. Everywhere else in the world accepts and understands men are men. So they're only loyal to you if they're getting something out of you.
People would say you're condoning bad behavior.
Well, I think it's bad behavior to deprive your partner of intimacy. I think that's bad behavior.
An unused monopoly.
Yeah, I think that's bad behavior on both ends. And I say this as a woman who probably, every woman does this at some stage or whatever it is. But I think that's bad behavior also. Why is only one side of the coin bad behavior? So when I have a client and he says to me, my wife hasn't slept with me in a year, or even it's the other way around, I've had women that say to me,
sure,
my husband hasn't slept with me for a year or two, and the cheat is like the villain, but why isn't depriving intimacy villainous behavior? Now, everywhere else in the world, they think men are men. They realize that men have this testosterone that if you don't sleep with them, they're going to go somewhere. That's an unwritten rule around the world. It's only in America where they think that we're not going to sleep with you, we're not going to cook for you, we're not going to clean for you, but you better be loyal to us, because if you're not, we're going to to humiliate you and defame you everywhere we go. That's unheard of in the rest of the world. They just think loyalty is a byproduct of a good relationship. Whereas in the West, it's loyalty first, and how I treat you is irrelevant. And if you're not loyal, I'm going to humiliate you and defame you, but I can treat you badly in so many other ways. So I think that's the key difference that I find is everywhere else understands if you don't have a connection with your partner, men or women, if you deprive them of that, they're going to go somewhere. Whereas in the West, cheating is just the only crime in a relationship. There's no other crimes.
What are the top 3 things that...
Every moment can be better with Philip's Latte Go and delicious coffee from fresh